Hello, and welcome to the
I'm bored.
Well, tough Brian, you've sat through the first 3 seconds, now you have to sit through the entire show. Well, I didn't realise it was going to be this boring. Can't I have a second choice? You can't have, like, a second choice. That would be a complete betrayal of your choice. What? Hello, and welcome to the David Frankal Show. It is now November, meaning it is the second month of Christmas in the UK. Since the last episode, I travelled down to London with my mum to join the 700,000 plus strong march for a vote on the Brexit agreement, which might actually have been finalised this week. Provided, of course, that it isn't voted down by Parliament or, well, the British public, so we'll see how that goes. It would probably help if the people negotiating the deal actually knew anything about what they were negotiating, which doesn't seem to really be the case, as Dominic Raab showed us this week.
We are, and I hadn't quite understood the full extent of this, but if you look at the UK and you look at how we trade in goods, we're particularly reliant on the Dover-Calais crossing.
You know, this is really peculiar, actually. I'd never actually realised this, but apparently you need oxygen to breathe. It's crazy, right? Anyway, Theresa May's new Brexit deal hasn't exactly been very popular with the Brexiteers, which is probably a good sign, actually. It's also not been great for Theresa May's leadership, and this week she suffered 2 resignations, Dominic Raab and also Esther McVey. Raab's resignation left the post of Brexit Secretary open for the second time this year. The post was then offered to Gove, who said he'd accept it, but only if the deal that Theresa May has just worked hard to put together was scrapped, which is basically a long-winded way of saying no thank you and also f*** you. I got a pretty good start on my board of resignation bingo, although unfortunately Gove didn't end up resigning and Grayling didn't because he has no shame. Speaking of Chris Grayling, one of my biggest daily frustrations nowadays is train delays, of course. Since the May 2018 timetable change, all trains to and from Heald Green now run to and from platforms 13 and 14 at Manchester Piccadilly, part of a corridor that was supposed to be expanded and, well, wasn't. Now, I'm sure everybody on this YouTube channel is absolutely sick of hearing about this, but you know what? I'm sick of having to deal with the delays themselves, so tough. Anyway, my frustration led me to actually try and write to the Transport Secretary, Chris Grayling. I wrote a proper letter. It was all very formal, very polite, about 1,300 words long, explaining all about why this is a problem and trying to convince him to actually do something about it, you know, because that's kind of his job. Obviously, I didn't actually expect him to respond or even read it himself, probably. But even then, I was quite surprised with the blatancy of the response that I got. Remember, this was like a full 1,300 word proper letter that I sent, and this is literally the entire response that I got. Dear Mr. Frankal, thank you for your letter on the 29th of October to the Secretary of State for Transport regarding the Manchester Piccadilly Manchester Oxford Road Rail Corridor. Your letter has been passed on to me in Network Services North Division, as we have responsibility for this region, which obviously means that Chris Grayling nor anyone in the actual DFT bothered to read it. It goes on. Your thorough observations on this have been noted. It is refreshing to see young people taking an active interest in government policy, and I hope you continue to share your thoughts. Yours sincerely, that was it. That was the letter. I mean, just wow. I think that is the single most patronising thing that has ever been said to me, ever. I mean, that is government intern speak for, we don't care, now off. It is refreshing to see. It's refreshing, is it? Is it really refreshing to see people complain about how your department's inability to run a transport network? Refreshing? Well, I'm glad as a young person my observations and interest are refreshing to you, and you're in luck because I do intend to continue sharing my thoughts, starting with this one, F*** you, resign. Anyway, writing to Chris Grayling obviously didn't work, so I'm going nuclear. I've started a change.org petition. I'm only joking. F*** that. Change.org, the parasite of internet petitions. Ooh, would you like to chip in £2 to this campaign? The £2 actually go to us and have nothing to do with the campaign, but don't tell anyone. Also, I don't understand why anybody trying to make some kind of political petition in the UK would use change.org when we literally have an official parliamentary petition site that Parliament are actually obligated to kind of listen to if it gets enough signatures, whereas they are well within their rights to ignore any change.org petition no matter how popular it gets. So to conclude, change.org, I've started an actual petition on the actual parliamentary petitions website to build platforms 15 and 16 at Manchester Piccadilly, as was promised. And if you care about this, or you just want me to shut up about this issue, then maybe go sign it and we can actually get a debate in Parliament about it. That would be nice. Moving on Sunday the 28th of October, Duncan and I headed up to North Manchester to revisit the East Lancashire Railway, where I haven't been on a while, and then we also went to the Heaton Park Tramway, where I haven't been in about 6 years, despite it being so close to where I go every day. I'm just never there on a Sunday. While we were there, we obviously filmed some nice new videos. We also met a subscriber, Ethan, who volunteers in the Heaton Park Tramway. So that was fun. Then last weekend I had a half term, which is just a Thursday and a Friday off. Time which I probably should have spent working on my geography coursework. Should have. And this weekend my dad has come back from Oman. He's actually here all week. Remember back in the early days of the David Frankal show, I used to do like a weekly review of Doctor Who when it was on. Well, I'm not bringing that back because, first of all, the David Frankal show is every month and a bit nowadays, and second of all, I can't really be bothered to do it episode by episode. But whilst we are here, we may as well talk about Series 11 so far. We're about halfway through. Now, it's been over a year, I think, since it was announced that Jodie Whittaker would be the new Doctor, which means we've already had over a year of people who didn't really care about Doctor Who before suddenly pretending to be lifelong fans and outraged at the fact that the writers dared to make the Doctor, wait for it, a woman. But seriously, I was kind of on board with the idea. I entered the series with an open mind, hoping for it to be good. I think I have very mixed feelings about the series so far. I do like Jodie Whittaker's take on the Doctor, but I think some of the writing and some of the other characters are not as great as they have been in previous Doctor Who series. Some of the dialogue hasn't been great, and also I have had one major issue with a lot of the episodes, is that they introduce these different plot points and then they don't really finish all of them. This has particularly been an issue for Ghost Monument, Rosa and Arachnids in the UK, where the episode ends before they've really resolved all the problems, so you leave the viewer thinking, yeah, but hang on, but what happened to, you know, one particularly annoying example of this, spoilers by the way.
Spoilers!
Is in Arachnids in the UK, where the President Trump impersonator guy kills the big spider, and then they attract all the little spiders into the hotel using Stormzy music, but then we never find out what happens to all the little spiders in the hotel. They're just kind of left there, and it's completely unaddressed in the plot. Same with the spider in the apartment, which was stuck behind like a line of vinegar or something. That never gets addressed. And it's just very unsatisfying when the episode ends and you feel like, well, not everything's been resolved. Also in Rosa, the bad guy, you know, the time-travelling white supremacist or whatever, he just kind of disappears when he's no longer useful to the plot, and we don't really find out anything more about him. That being said, this has been less of an issue in the most recent 2 episodes. It seems to have gotten a little bit better. The most recent episode as of filming, actually, Demons of the Punjab, I quite enjoyed. I thought it was a good episode. Everything felt addressed. I think the characters were quite developed, and I think it dealt with the historical themes very well, much better than Rosa did, because obviously Rosa is about 1950s America. Obviously 1950s America was very racist, but the racism in Rosa seemed somewhat kind of forced. It seemed very much kind of convenient to the plot, more than it was kind of part of the theme, if that makes sense. While as within Demons of the Punjab, the historical themes felt a lot more natural and kind of fitting with the overall atmosphere and plot. Anyway, enough of that. It's now getting to crunch time in the world of David Frankal. The winter exams are coming, which means that I'm going to have to gradually reduce the frequency of videos even further. Shocking, I know. What little time I do have, I will dedicate mostly to editing History of the Metrolink, which I'm very excited to announce I have finally gotten a good start at editing, and I have actually gotten quite far into it, and hopefully I will be able to get it out by the end of the year, with the 2-part Secrets of the Metrolink coming out in early 2019. Secrets of the Metrolink is of course inspired by Jeff Tech and Londonist's famous Secrets of the Underground series. He recently made an episode in Glasgow, which has made me slightly afraid that he's also going to do a Metrolink one, so let's hope I can get mine out before he does. Well, we've reached the end of the episode. Last episode, I did forget the train spot of the week, so I'm going to give you two this week. One was from September, when I finally caught an Trans-Pennine Express MK5 set on test at Manchester Piccadilly, and the second is a Northern ex-ScotRail Class 158 leaving Heald Green. Enjoy. One 156-429 leads service to Manchester Airport from Heald Green. And on the back is 158-870, recently transferred from ScotRail. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.